Hi everyone, it's Viktor speaking, and we are back with Barbara. So as we promised, we're going through the cardinal energies. So today we are going to be having a look at uh, those natives who have got Saturn in the sign of Libra and how they are going to be affected in 2020. So I hope you really enjoyed the Aries and the Cancer part. And I do remember actually that someone asked me why Libra people feel it the most, because in one of my videos I made a comment like that. Now I think you will understand maybe why Libra. Barbara, so how are you doing, Barbara, today?
Hi, Victor.
Hi. I hope you guys really like her because I think she's talented.
Thank
So
you so
before we
much.
jump into this, I just wanted to tell you that when we had Saturn in the sign of Libra, so we had actually in 1950s, to be precise, from 1950 to 1951 March, and then from 1951 August till 1953, the mid-year. Now, it was an interesting period because at that time Jupiter had a trine to Saturn, but Uranus was square in Saturn. So I would say these people might be actually seeing some benefit, sorry, benefit in regards to Jupiter and Saturn conjunction happening in the sign of Aquarius. And this time around, they can feel a little bit of tension, but I believe it's going to be more about preparation for their future. Now, another period when we had Saturn in Libra was between 1980 to 1982 November, and then a short period of time in 1983 as well, between May and August. Now, this was quite an intense period. And the reason being is because there was a Pluto and the Saturn conjunction going on in 1982. And also in 1981, January and March, there was a Saturn and the Jupiter conjunction going on as well. I would say that if you were born in 1982, October, November, you're going to feel 2020 quite strongly. Again, especially if you've got any planet on the 22-degree and further in the sign of Capricorn. Okay, and then the last period, the very last period we had Saturn in the sign of Libra was in 2009 October till 2010 April, and then from 2010 July till 2022. This was quite a tough period as well. Probably you guys remember, but there was Pluto, Saturn squaring each other, and there was an opposition towards Uranus as well. So even our little guys and girls are going to be feeling 2020 quite strongly. But what do you think, Barbara?
Well, I think what you said is extremely important, and specifically regarding Saturn and Libra. Saturn likes being in the placement of Libra. As we've said before in past videos, Saturn is exalted in Libra. And the reason for that, well, exaltation, I like to think of it as a planet that the red carpet's being rolled out for it, basically. It likes that environment. It's treated like a celebrity, basically. And the reason why Saturn likes Libra, because Libra is all about fairness and justice and equality and doing the right thing about other people, because Libra is a sign about relationships and other people. And so Saturn likes being there because it wants to do the right thing in general. So it trusts that where the zodiac Libra is concerned, it can carry out what it wants to do in the way that it sees fit. So I think that people with this placement, while it's a good placement, it's still Saturn, so Saturn is a very karmic planet, and it can cause fears, boundaries, restrictions, delays, and that in that regard. And maybe people with these with this placement will probably experience a lot of karmic relationships, you know, and they have a duty, a strong duty for fairness and justice in regard to relationships. Sometimes on the lower spectrum, they may be people pleasers in the sense that they may allow others to kind of walk over them or just give themselves over to them. And then also they can, also on the lower spectrum, they may have a tendency to kind of keep score about things, you know, doing what's fair and right. But ultimately, you know, they love interacting with other people, and relationships are important to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Saturn is the planet of karma. As we mentioned in one of the videos, Saturn is the planet which defines us. And Libra talks about relationships. So Saturn in Libra could sometimes show codependency issues. And this might need to come onto the surface this year. Maybe you're going to have to learn a little bit more of an independency. You know, Libra is a sign of contracts and legal matters. Maybe some of those issues might arise as well. Yeah, Saturn is exalted in the sign of Libra, but in my opinion, exaltation doesn't last forever.
Mm-hmm.
So it brings a little bit of rockiness sometimes. Sometimes it's like being in the sky and then there is no limits. But sometimes Saturn goes so deep and becomes depressive, even in the sign of Libra. So I think also what's important this year for all these generations are being able to tune in and seeing, you know, themselves through others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because others for them is going to be a mirror. And it's like looking into the mirror and then seeing what others might want to show them. And, you know, this could be judgment. Libra rules judgment. So if it's judgment you see in others and then you don't take it well, then 2020 can be hard for you. But if you take that constructive criticism well, then I think it could be a brilliant year as well. So again, Libra is ruled by Venus, and Venus is the planet of choices. Mm-hmm. I think this year, plenty of you have to make a choice. So maybe let's see our lovely viewers by sign. So how do you feel about the Aries rising sign?
Okay, well, Aries rising. So their natal Saturn is going to be in their 7th house. And the transit's going to be happening in their 10th house. So, you know, the 7th house is all about relationships. It's the Libra house, basically, right? It's about our one-on-one relationships, partnerships. And the 10th house is about our public status, our occupation, our career, and one of the parents, be it a father or mother. It's arguable which parent, right? So how I see this playing out for Aries rising, there could be changes in work status, which could be causing issues in your relationship, and you know, issues or restrictions that need to be talked out and worked through. And as you said before, you know, people with Saturn and Libra can have codependency issues, and so there might be a tendency to like, oh well, you do what you want to do, and it doesn't matter, but it really does. You know, and so that those imbalances maybe can get a little heavy, because Libra's a sign of the scale. So, and once those scales get tipped, issues can erupt. So I think that's one possible manifestation. Another one would be maybe a parent or a spouse causing friction between you and a long-term partner. And maybe, so the 7th house, the 1st and the 7th house are also about the grandparents. So there could be an issue with the health of a grandparent, maybe the death of a grandparent, because this is your grandparent's natal 4th house. So It could be something about that as well. What do you think, Victor?
I think actually the very positive manifestation is about marriage. Some of the Aries rising sign could get married. Yes, there is a huge square going on between the 7th and the 10th house. So there might be some initial troubles, but eventually, yeah, it could end up as marriage as well if you are single, or you can meet someone who is older than you, someone who wants to transform your life. And maybe at first you are going to be taking it like offensive. Why does this person telling me, why does this person tell me that I should be doing this and that? But it looks like it's more like the motivational side of the person you get together with. Yes, there could be divorces as well. Now, that Mars retrograde is going to be opposing the 7th house, the natal Saturn. And Saturn and Uranus is really talking about being so committed, really chasing something, what you want to achieve. And sometimes they don't look at their relationship. So how you could feel about this is that I'm really chasing my professional dreams, but you start ignoring your relationship and your partner is not happy about it. Yes. Now, if you might have got some legal matters going on, watch out for this period. 2020 could bring you some hardship. Maybe the judge is not going to be ruling towards you because there is a square. And the 10th house talks about authority figures. That could also be the case.
So it's interesting you say that. So with the natal Saturn being in Libra, so is there a possibility, or could there be a possibility of the outcome being favorable to the native, given that their natal placement is in stronger position, even though Saturn is in domicile and in the 10th house?
I do understand what you say, but in traditional astrology, the domicile position has got more essential dignity than the exaltation, meaning that the 10th house is stronger here than the lawyer who is representing us, and that would be the 7th house. So it looks like the governmental rules have got the upper hand over the person who represents you, and that would be the 7th. Yes, I do get where you're coming from, and maybe there could be, but more, in general, I would say this is not a great year for legal matters.
Okay.
Of course, we would need to see people's actual chart, to determine what planetary aspects the natal Saturn has.
Absolutely.
How about Taurus?
Okay, well, Taurus. So with Taurus, the natal Saturn in Libra is happening in the 6th house, and the transiting Saturn-Pluto conjunction is going to be in the 9th house. So the 6th house is all about, small pets. It's about illness, health, wellness. It could be about injuries. It could be about your work colleagues. It could be about the services that you provide. And it could also be about grievances that you have with people or grudges that you hold with people.
Yeah.
This is also, the native 6th house is also about the siblings of a parent, or maybe some childhood friends or people who are close to the family. The 9th house is about your morals, your spiritual beliefs, gurus, teachers, foreign travel, and maybe even documents are related to that house. So how I see this playing out, maybe a couple reasons. So there could be some imbalances or fairness with a teacher related to some high educational goal. Maybe you feel like you weren't graded properly, or there could be some issues regarding your graduation, and you decide to speak up about it. This could also be about maybe a boss leaning on you a little too much to do a lot of the traveling for work. So if your company has some offices either abroad or maybe, depending on where you are, and there's basically some potential for some long distance travel involved here. And maybe there's some other colleagues that they could lean on, and you decide maybe you want to speak up about it. You feel like it's just a bit too much for you. So with regard to the siblings of a parent, maybe there's some issues with an aunt, uncle, or someone close to the family who is sick, and you have to travel to go see them, but there might be some delays or restrictions that come about for this transit. What do you think, Victor?
Possibility for relocation is there also. It could be due to a start of a new work, for instance. It could be a possible relocation because of health issues as well. And if that would be the case, maybe you need to be living closer by to mountains. It just indicates that fresh air needs to be in your system as much as possible. Actually, it could even be talking about your oxygen level in the body, which might be restricted. Another thing which came to my mind is that it is the fact that you need to release some of your old belief system and then replacing those with a new lifestyle, or replacing those with new ones, creating new habits for yourself. Which could be quite a transformation for you, most probably on a spiritual level. Yes, that's what comes to my mind, especially for our Taurian people. How about Gemini?
Okay, well, Gemini. So with Gemini, this transit, the natal Saturn is going to be in your 5th house, and the transit Saturn-Pluto conjunction is going to be happening in the 8th house. So the 5th house is all about your creativity, the things you do for fun, your hobbies, children, sex, the people you date, romance, and things of that nature. The 8th house is all about sex, intimacy, death, rebirth, inheritances, taxes, deep research, the occult, and topics that are kind of a little bit taboo. And it's also about your other people's money. So how I see this possibility of this playing out for Gemini rising, there could be your children. If you have children, maybe they could be experiencing some emotional health crises, and you have to seek out help from a counselor. Maybe with your child may be seeking, let's say if you have an adult child, and they're maybe buying their home or maybe wanting to move into a new place, and maybe they're seeking out your financial support for it. And there might be some issues related to that. The 5th house is the 2nd from the 4th. And the 2nd from the 4th is going to be, in terms of your parents, that's going to be your parents, your parents' personal property, and their valuables. And then the 8th house is going to be the 5th from the 4th. So if this involves, well, the 5th from the 4th would be the parents, maybe for their first child. So maybe an older sibling, if it's not the native themselves. So there could be some unfairness or imbalances or blockages relating to inheritance from a parent. Maybe a sibling might, if the native is the firstborn child and they have siblings, then there could be some squabbles over it. Or maybe the native might have some issues with, what the parent decided to do with their valuables. Yeah, so it also could be about some unexpected pregnancy, news about an unexpected pregnancy. Yeah, so what do you think, Victor?
What came to my mind was that the possibility of the parents trying to sell their property so that the children can share the inheritance within themselves. Yes, that's definitely could be the case. Also, you mentioned pregnancy. I would take it a notch further. These natives might have been trying to get pregnant for a while, and then this year they're going to consider IVF. Because, yes, it could be just the fact that they don't want to wait anymore. The possibility of selling, for instance, a company of yours or a business of yours is also there too. But it might just be some collaboration with a business partner who would want to invest more money into yours. If the plan is that you want to grow your family, actually you might think that I'm going to turn to a bank for some mortgage or loan. Try it a couple of times, because maybe the very first or the second time you are going to get refused by the bank. And actually, you might even ask an astrologer to erect a chart for you when to ask for that loan. 8th house talks about spiritual leaders. Or you just maybe get more guidance over your inner child by someone you look at as a guru in your life. It's probably more about gathering information this year. Diving into more spiritual self, rediscovering your childhood, maybe living through some historical events you went through when you were a teenager, for instance. 5th house really was the teenage period. Great. How about Cancer?
Okay, well, Cancer rising. So your natal Libra, Saturn and Libra is going to be in your 4th house. And the transiting Saturn-Pluto conjunction is going to be in the 7th house. So the 4th house, again, is all about your home, your family, parents. And it could also be your partner's career. The 7th house is about your relationships. So one of the things that I could see happening with this transit is maybe one of your in-laws gets engaged, or maybe they're going to get remarried.
Yeah.
Maybe this might bring about some greater responsibilities at home due to maybe a partner working a lot. This could also bring about some issues with property. Maybe you and your partner are wanting to move, or looking at relocating or buying a new house, and there could be some tensions and imbalances just maybe coming together and seeing eye to eye about things, maybe what the right price, the right location. And so it's about working through those issues. What do you think?
Yeah, I do believe that maybe it's something to do with their home environment. Maybe actually the plan is that they are going to build in their own home rather than purchasing one, starting from scratch, because it looks like Cancer rising sign might want to enjoy actually the process, which is very much, it does relate to Saturn, to enjoy that process of building our own home and then seeing the result of it. Now, a little reminder that Saturn might cause delays. So don't be over optimistic that you might finish your property by 2020 if you are in the middle of it. Saturn could be talking about blockages, plumbing issues as well with the Pluto. Yeah, so the possibility is there.
Yeah, maybe a renegotiating of contracts too.
Oh yeah,
because, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe you just decide to find a new contractor who is going to be doing the refurbishment for you, because there might be a dissatisfaction going on with the previous ones.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
If you are working home, Cancer rising, actually you might feel the need to get out of home a little bit more and socialize. Because your natal Saturn from the 4th is actually jumping into the 7th. And 7th house talks about other people and publicity. So you might just feel the need that, you know what, I need to let go of this solitude energy, and then I need to become more public. Great. How about Leo?
Okay. So for Leo, what we have here is that your natal Saturn in Libra is going to be in your third house, and the transit Pluto-Saturn conjunction is going to be in your sixth house. So the third house is all about your siblings, other family members, neighbors, how you communicate, writing, media, learning new skills, and short trips. While the sixth house, as I said earlier, it's about, your health, wellness, your daily work, and things of that nature. So I see maybe two things that could come about through this transit. So there might be some unfavorable news about maybe a sibling's health. Maybe there, if this is about issues with a sibling, maybe you have one that you haven't been getting along with for some time, and because the third house is about social media and what people write and say. So maybe a sibling has been saying some not so nice things about you through social media, and you decide that you want to speak up. You want to kind of approach them and have a conversation with them about it because it's been going on too long. Yeah.
Also, it could be talking about learning new skills as well in regards to your work. Maybe it's just about learning about your own body. The sixth house is pretty much relating to energies after you left your home. So imagine that you get dressed up and then you open the door and then you walk out. That's the kind of period what the sixth and the seventh house energy talks about in between. So before you close the door is actually still sixth house. And as soon as you are outside, that's seventh. Actually, maybe your sense of styling is going to be changing. And then you're going to be learning about what fits me better, how I could look better, and so forth. So it's like integrating a completely new lifestyle, and then it looks like you might like communicating about it as well. But the results might be coming a little bit later. Maybe you have been on a diet, you have been trying different types of media supported, fads or media supported diets, and then they don't seem to be working. You know what? I think you just need to be visiting, for instance, a dietitian, sixth house rules practitioners.
Yeah.
So dietitians belong there as well.
And for the pet parents out there, so watch out for maybe some issues while you're walking your dogs. It could be, maybe you coming in contact with another dog walker. Maybe they might have a little bit of a scuffle, and it might cause your pet maybe some health issues. So be careful of that too.
Yes, that's a very good point, by the way. How about Virgo?
All right, for Virgo rising. Well, we have your natal Saturn in your second house, and the transiting Pluto-Saturn conjunction is going to be in your fifth house. So your second house is all about your valuables, your self-worth, your possessions, your earned income, the nourishment that you give to the first house. And then the fifth house is also, again, about your creativity, the things you do, fun, hobbies, children. So how I see this possibly playing out for Virgo rising is maybe this could be about you spending a lot of money on your kids, and you're wondering how you're going to pay for some of their educational expenses, and maybe you need to restructure your budget. Maybe you have an older child who has been leaning on you a lot financially to kind of help them out with their bills, and then you decide you want to have a conversation with them because you feel like they're using you as a parent. Sometimes we can be enablers as parents. So you decide to have a difficult discussion with them and teaching them how to restructure their budget. Or maybe if this is about a creative project that Virgo rising wants to embark on, there might be having some second thoughts, or maybe just having to restructure and revise their plans before they go forward with this, their creative projects. What do you have to say, Viktor?
You know, Virgo has got a tendency to be very critical towards themselves. And maybe this Saturn energy is just going to be an indication of working on their self-worth in 2020. It might be about letting go of that childish approach to life, becoming a little bit more serious and seeing the sunny side of life as well. It's a little bit of letting go of having that balance within being able to take risks and being too serious about things. Yes, I think for them, it's about building up that confidence level, which seems to be an issue, which seems to have been an issue for a while for them.
Yeah.
And that might promise something to do with financial increase then. You know,
For sure.
as I said, Saturn defines us, but limits us as well. Saturn only promises what you can afford or what you can cope with. So if Saturn sees the vibration of yours increasing, then it's going to give you more. So it's not as cruel a planet as we tend to believe. And I think Virgo really has to raise the bar and being more imaginative about what they want to achieve. And that could promise, for instance, a great business opportunity for them as well, fifth house rules businesses. How about Libra?
Okay, well, Libra rising. Let's see if I can get this to stick. I may have to do it like that.
You've done a fantastic job with this wheel, by the way. I don't know if you guys remember, but last time she was holding it in her hand. So now she made a stick for it. So it's there and it's comfortable to see. So definitely we have got some improvement.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that compliment, Viktor. All right.
I like the arrow as well. If you bring it closer, it looks like a star constellation going on there.
It's all sparkly.
Yeah, so it's really fit the video.
Yeah.
So that's the Libra.
Yeah. So for Libra rising, the natal Saturn is going to be in your first house. And then the transiting planets are going to be in the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, going to be in your fourth house. So any planet, as I said before, in the first house kind of helps, it defines who we are. And Saturn can create some blockages with just how we go about and how we assert ourselves in our lives with other people. And again, with Libra being a relationship-based sign, and they tend to think about other people. This could, really promote that to kind of the idea that the person is just lets people do what they want, allowing people to have their way without to the detriment of themselves. So with the first house, again, it represents the physical body. This could also be grandparents. And then the fourth house is, of course, home and family and the partner's career. So how I see a couple ways that this could be playing out is that the Libra rising could be learning to trust their judgment. Maybe, as I said, maybe they've been a pushover when it comes to others, and just others projecting who they should be and how, and how they should go about their lives. Because sometimes with Saturn on the natal first, maybe a parent was really strict with them growing up, and it caused them to, some blockages. So maybe this is about them really coming into their own. And so then how I also see this playing it out is that if this is about some issues with a parent, maybe a mom or dad, maybe has some very traditional views and opinions, and that impacted the Libra rising really strongly. Maybe issues about marriage. I would think predominantly about relationship issues, maybe about marriage, how, when to have kids, how to raise them, and what role they should play in their relationships. And now they're getting to a point, as I said before, that they're coming into their own, and they're like, no, I have my own way that I want to go about my life, and thank you, but no thank you. So what do you have to say, Victor?
First house for me, whenever the first house gets activated, it talks about changes in your environment. First house is about your perspectives. So actually, this transition might talk about letting go of some of your karmic wounds in regards to your family and taking a different direction, or taking a different approach to family. And I think this transformation could actually result in so many great things in your life. So for you, Libra, 2020 could be a year where you get rid of all your family karmic issues. And then you're going to see a striving energy towards becoming someone better. It's about releasing your old patterns. It's about building in your emotional security. Maybe even bringing the families together if there were any tensions going on. Maybe your family hasn't even seen their grandchildren yet. Saturn pretty much talks about traditions. So it's all about bringing your tradition together with your parents' tradition. So maybe it's going to be a negotiation, how are we going to celebrate Christmas, for instance. Fourth house talks about end of matters. So this could be a year where you finish up things you started, especially in 2019. So if things didn't go right in 2019, yes, in 2020, it's all about finishing them up. It was a slow period, but you can take it kind of for granted that eventually it happens.
Yeah.
And if you have to ask for help on a parental level, then put your pride aside and do so. What do you think about Scorpio?
All right, so for Scorpio rising.
Oh, sorry, by the way, just wanted to mention that Libra also might be thinking about relocation as well. Fourth house, as I said, the first house talks about changing your environment. Fourth house talks about changes in your home circumstances, your family circumstances. So you even might be thinking about increasing, the family. So that could talk about children as well easily.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, Scorpio.
It's okay. For Scorpio rising, your natal Saturn in Libra is going to happen. It's going to be in your 12th house, your natal 12th house. And then the transit of Saturn and Pluto, the conjunction, is going to be happening in your 3rd house. So the 12th house is all about isolation, sleep, dreams, foreign travel, loss, self-undoing habits, and secret enemies. While the 3rd house, as we said before, is about siblings, other people in your family, your neighbors, and how you communicate, and learning new skills. And so I would caution the Scorpio risings maybe to take caution if they're driving around. They might end up in some fender benders that might result into a hospitalization. So just be careful with that. I would also think that this transit could bring about a need to just take time for yourself in isolation and doing some research and reflection. Maybe if there have been some things that you've been, some habits that have been causing you to not progress, and just to reflect on those things in isolation. This transit also could inspire you to maybe embark on some new spiritual practice. Yeah. And a lower manifestation of this, I kind of got a chuckle when this came to my mind, but the 12th house is all about, your secrets, enemies, and again, these are the third house is about your neighbor. So let's say your neighbor, you suspect that your neighbors are involved in maybe some illicit activity, and you've been struggling with reporting them because you don't want any blowback from it. So maybe you decide to make an anonymous tip to the authorities about them. Yeah. So.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that, because I just saw that recently in someone's charts.
Wow.
And actually, she has got Saturn, the natal Saturn in the 12th house. And with the Plutonian energies, there was some drug dealing going on in the neighborhood. And then he was also blamed for it. He had nothing to do with it.
Wow.
There is one meaning I really like mentioning about the 12th house, and plenty of people don't know it. But 12th house talks about your weaknesses. And third house is your talents. This year could be about trying to turn your weaknesses into talents.
I like that.
And that would be the only thing I would tell Scorpio rising, because that would be already a huge step. It would be a transformation. And Scorpio's deepest desire is all about becoming someone else, or becoming the better version of myself. But because they tend to be having trust issues, the third house is an indication of letting go of your fears, letting go of your communicational blockages, speak up for yourself, say what hurts and what pleases you, because that's what people appreciate about you.
Yeah.
Don't just step into one corner and be an observer, which is Scorpio sign. Scorpio is very good at observing.
Yeah.
It's about speaking up now. There is this saying, which is very true for this planetary alignment in the third house, that what happened? The cat took your tongue, type of reminder what you are getting. Also, I usually feel the 12th house is like a shell, a protective shell, what we build around us, and it becomes like a bubble, so that our subconscious, our basically subconscious power gets protected. And it looks like that shell or bubble can get burst this year. So you know what, if I were you, Scorpio, I would be poking that bubble myself, because actually Saturn is the balloon popper. The planet of balloon popper.
He probably throws rocks at it.
Exactly. So poke it yourself before actually karma does that for you. Sagittarius. I'm sure they are excited.
Yeah. Sagittarius. All right. So with Sagittarius, your natal Saturn in Libra is going to be happening in your 11th house. And then the transit is going to be in your 2nd house. So the 11th house is all about your hopes, your wishes, your friendship, your networks, maybe even some charitable things. And then the 2nd house is about your values, your self-worth, your possessions, your earned income. And so maybe some possible manifestations of this transit could be, maybe you've had a friend that's been leaning on you financially quite a bit, and you realize that they may have been using you, and you've been holding your tongue. And this transit may inspire you to say, you know what, I see that there's a habit here, and I want to help you. I've been helping you, but I can't, like the issues with the child in the 5th house. I can't enable you any longer. Another possible manifestation of this transit could be, maybe you're inspired to seek, maybe the native is actually inspired to seek the support of their friends to host a charitable event. So the 11th house could be about the children that you adopt, or your stepchildren. So, and maybe there's that children who are in foster care or what have you. There might be that cause that's close to your heart And so you seek out the help and support of your friends to host a charitable event to raise children. Excuse me, not to raise children, to raise money to help those children. Yeah.
Well,
So
I wish there was a way to raise money. You know, I wish there was a money tree. I would
right.
be planting plenty.
Yeah. I mean, because Sagittarius, right? Sagittarius is, they're givers, so they, they like to be, to help others, and they like to bless others as much as they can. So that's what came to mind when I thought about this transit.
On a psychological level, I think Sagittarius people will have to learn this year that they don't have to pay. They don't have to pay for everything what comes their way, because they might be having this limiting belief system, and that could be because they had to learn at an early age that money doesn't grow on trees. Maybe they had to be very wise how they handle money. And also a reminder that tangible results are not necessarily your dreams. Maybe it's all about running after your dreams and hopes, not necessarily just running after money. And I know it's easy to say because everyone needs money to achieve their dreams, right? If you want to go on a holiday, you need money. If you want to be opening a business, you need money.
Yeah.
But this energy is just a reminder of becoming a little bit more optimistic about your possibilities, opening up different doors rather than being so rigid about it, just earning, and earning. Saturn has got a tendency to choose duty over pleasure. But actually, the Sagittarius rising sign loves pleasure more than duty. So again, what Sagittarius need to learn, in my opinion, is forgetting about right or wrong and live in the moment as well a little bit. Because Saturn has got a good saying, and I like that. What you reap is what you sow. And if you don't have that motto in your head, then it could be a painful year. If you have got that within your mind, I think you can manifest great as well. How about Capricorn?
Okay, for Capricorn rising, let me try to get that there. Your natal Saturn is going to be in your first house, your 10th house. And then the transit, Pluto-Saturn transit, is going to be right dead on your ascendant in your first house. So how I see this is that maybe Capricorn risings, they could be starting an entirely new career path. The direction of their life is totally changing. But there are going to be some obstacles. There might be some issues with planning the details out. But I think for the most part, they're built for it because they like work and they like achieving. So whatever it is that they might be planning during this transit, I think they definitely have their work cut out for it. So I think this transit also could have brought about for maybe a promotion for some. And as I said before, the promotion will bring about greater responsibility. But again, with someone with a natal Saturn in Libra, I would think that they're going to be really good as an authority figure, because they're going to want to be fair and balanced to the people that they work with in their workplace. So yeah, what do you think about this transit, Victor?
Definitely a tough one, and I agree with you. Probably it's some changes in their social status, surely. But I also feel like that this year they have to learn how to share responsibilities with their partner. It is going to be about carrying that burden together. It is more like a self-mastery of my own apprenticeship program, which I created. So what I mean by that is that you've got a very strong moral code, and then you want to live up to that moral code.
Yeah.
And I think this year, if you work on that mastery of your own ideas, and then you share your ideas and your responsibilities with your partner, actually you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And 2021 can be a lot better year.
Mm.
So I think Capricorn, just hold up a little bit, you know, because you get there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you are famous for.
Yes.
You are the sign of achievements. So this year, do not let depression get the better of you, because you are stronger than that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just on a health level, watch out for your digestion system, because even though Saturn does not necessarily rule digestion, but it talks about that it's hard for me to chew on things which life is giving me.
Mm.
So anything to do with the teeth, the mouth, and the stomach could be an issue. That depression could manifest on a physical level for them. Aquarius.
Okay, Aquarius. So with Aquarius, the natal Saturn is going to be in their 9th house, and then the transiting Saturn-Pluto conjunction is going to be in the 12th house. So the 9th house, again, is about, your morals, your spiritual beliefs, gurus, teachers, and long-distance travel. And then the 12th house, as we said before, as you said before, could be your weaknesses and the being isolated and sort of nefarious activity, foreign travel, and self-undoing habits. So I see this maybe playing out in a couple ways. Aquarius might be having some blockages and delays are possible due to maybe some overseas travel. Or maybe especially if they're going, they may be traveling due to some belief systems that they're studying or some higher education goals that they have. And I would also caution Aquarius to be mindful of their possessions, their documents, and belongings while traveling, because the square could cause some issues related to that. And as I wrote this, I immediately thought about in America, there's a show called The Housewives of Atlanta.
Yeah.
And so they tend to take trips, and so there's at least a couple of the people on the show who are Aquarians, and one of them, when they traveled overseas, at least in 2 episodes, she either lost her luggage or her passport. There were some issues related to that.
Yeah, actually, both houses could be talking about relocation as well.
Mm-hmm.
12th house rules faraway countries. Now, 12th house also rules exotic places. So actually, Aquarius, this year, you're going to have to know your limits, to set boundaries a little bit, because 12th house rules rare illnesses as well.
Mm.
And this could be related to travel. So watch out for those fruits and snakes or whatever you like eating.
Whoa.
Or yeah, that could be one way to have this manifestation. On another way, which is a lot more positive though, it might be something to do with finding a guru, for instance, at a retreat, who you would be able to look up to, who you would think that could become your master and you can learn a lot from. And if this is the case, again, 2020, especially from mid-year onwards, it could be a great one. Aquarius, I feel like you're going to have to recharge your batteries as well. So that travel is actually in the cards. Just maybe choose places which is safe.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Pisces.
Beautiful Pisces. So
You got
for
to my rising sign, and actually it does
yes,
affect me
yeah. Oh,
quite
the pressure,
strongly.
the pressure. So for Pisces rising, your natal Saturn in Libra is going to be in your 8th house, and the Pluto Saturn conjunction is going to be happening in the 11th house. So how I see this playing out, maybe their 8th house could be inheritance. So this might bring about some issues and delays with disbursements of some inheritance that you're due. If you could also, this is also the 11th house being about friends, and the 8th house being about surgeries or unexpected things that could happen. So maybe you could receive some news from about a friend who maybe fell ill and they have to undergo surgery. If you're married or if you have a long-term partner, this could also be about your partner deciding to retire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Or the so the 11th house is the 5th house of your natal 7th house. So this is your partner's 5th house. So maybe there could be some with a partner wanting to embark on some new creative idea, but there are blockages, related to that. And maybe the Pisces rising might be able to, or maybe looking to seek a loan from a friend or for some long-term goal that they have. And there might be some issues, with contractual, working out the contractual details about that. So, so those are some possible manifestations that I see for Pisces.
What you mentioned there, one of them really strike me, because I've been working very hard to buy my own property, and I don't want any loans. Because I don't like my Saturn in the 8th house. So, it could be bringing restrictions around loans. I've got an Aquarius sun as well. I do enjoy my freedom. And I feel like that loan would be just, holding me down. And my best friend, and I've got a certain amount of money. And my best friend told me on the day of the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, on my Mercury, which is ruling my 4th house, so the house of properties. Viktor, you know what? I just give you a little bit of money and then you can buy the dream property you want to.
Wow.
And you give it back to me whenever you want to, but I don't want you to go to banks because I know how frustrating that is for you. He knows about my fears in regards to loans and mortgages and so forth. And obviously, I'm not going to accept it. I'm more proud than that. But yeah, if the opportunity is coming up for you, Pisces, then why not do that?
Why not? Exactly.
But this could be really talking about, 8th house talks about investments. So it could be really talking about investing time and effort into your long-term goals. The planetary alignments are saying that you have been sitting too comfortably for a while now, and you need a shaking up energy. You need to put your stuff together, yes, in a nice way, and then go for it. Because Pisces is like a fish, tends to be just flowing in the water, and it's comfortable. So it's all about having a higher vision and then go for your dreams. Well, I really hope, guys, that these series are helping you just to see a little bit clearer about the 2022 influence. Because Barbara's and my aim were to try to personalize your chart a little bit more than just talking about the general positions, because as Saturn is a huge player this year in the chart, that's why we are going through the natal position of each of the Saturn placement,
Yeah.
so that you could feel how to transform these energies into something better, and hopefully avoiding the negative connotation to Saturn,
Yeah.
Pluto, South Node, Jupiter,
Yeah.
and God knows Mars energy, you know, in the sign of Capricorn. So do let us know what you think about the video, and then if you liked it, please press like, give us some love. We are here to help. Leave us a comment if you need some clarification on something. And then even if you wish to have a reading with us, then just leave us a comment and we will come back to you. Thank you, everyone. Peace. And thank you, Barbara, for joining.
Thank you for having me again, Victor. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. And we're going to see you tomorrow with Capricorn. Have a lovely evening.